Hello, everyone. I am back with chapter 36 of System Synthesis, titled Victory Repeats Itself. Ichigo knew he had won. He had seen Katsuki fall before him. He had heard the deafening cheers, but even then, as he stood on the podium, with Katsuki on one side and Todoroki on the other, it felt unreal. The weight of the medal and the trophy barely registered in his mind. He could feel the coolness of the metal, but a part of him couldn't help but question if he was still dreaming, or if it was all real. The cheers from the audience sounded like a buzz of white noise in the background. He gulped, looking to either side. Katsuki was expectantly scowling and glaring at the award podium, unhappy with the second position, but at the same time he wasn't lashing out because he knew he lost fair and square. On his other side, Ichigo took a glance at Todoroki. The twin quirk boy had an unintelligible expression on his face. He looked confused and in deep thought. Then All Might gave a speech. Ichigo could barely hear it over the sound of his own thundering heart and adrenaline high. Plus Ultra! Ichigo said out loud when he heard the phrase being shouted by everyone. The walk back to the resting room felt weird. There was an awkward silence as the three walked together. Ichigo kept glancing from side to side, wondering if he should say something. But one wrong word, and he knew Katsuki would snap. But given the look on the faces of the two, it didn't seem like anyone would be willing to say anything anytime soon. So, helpless, he tucked his face under his chin, hiding his face behind the trophy as he walked. He had won, and he was exhilarated, and yet something felt like it was missing, an emotion waiting to crash down on him, but he couldn't figure out what. Once they entered the resting room, all of the others started cheering for them. Ichigo flinched at the sudden loud noise, but quickly covered it as he felt someone, he took a glance and saw Asui, patted his back. With his blood still so full on adrenaline, he couldn't help but be a little on edge with everyone crowding around the three rankers, and say his thank yous to everyone who congratulated him. A quick glance around the room, and Ichigo realized Ida wasn't present. He frowned as he recalled the call the bespectacled boy had gotten earlier. I hope he's okay. Everything afterwards was a blur for him. He got more cheers than ever in his life, and it was honestly kind of overwhelming. It was soon before he was slipping out of the room and making sure to let Katsuki know, of course, and running around to find his dad, or Hawks, or whoever he found first. As per the permission slips, parents were allowed to come collect their children after the sports festival was over. He spotted him quickly enough, coming down from the direction of the commentator's box alongside Hisashi. Snipe had joined them somewhere along the way, apparently. Ichigo rushed over, all bright eyes and a cheerful smile. He stopped long enough to greet both Hisashi and Snipe before pretty much throwing himself at his dad. I won, he said, a voice trembling with poorly hidden excitement. He heard Hisashi murmur something, but couldn't make out the words. And then two sets of footsteps were heard walking away from them. Just as they walked away, Ichigo felt a pair of arms wrap around him, before he felt his dad nuzzle into his hair. I know, and I'm so proud of you, he said with a voice so soft and adoring. Ichigo kind of wanted to melt at that moment. The part of him that had been feeling out of place so far seemed to click in place. Validation is something he always needed, and he was aware of it, be it validation in the form of academic achievement or breaking through a wall for his quick development, and logically, he knew his parents were always proud of his achievements, of him. But it felt nice to hear it being said out loud. You were brilliant out there, Shota hummed, swaying their bodies side to side. Isuku giggled as Shota swayed them a little too much to the side, almost like he had tripped for pulling him back up. Come on, Shota said, after giving him a squeeze and patting his back gently. Let's go home. I'm sure Inko has a lot to say to you. She's gonna completely freak out, isn't she? Itsuku said with a laugh in his voice. Oh yeah, totally, Shota answered with a snort. You did blow up a lot of things. I promise I was trying my best to be nice, Itsuku mumbled, fluttering his eyes innocently. Shota looked at him from the corner of his eyes and let out an amused huff. Yeah, sure. His mother's reaction was exactly like Itsuku had imagined. First, there was a lot of freaking out the moment he stepped into the house. He let her fuss over him to her heart's content as he stood there patiently with a smile on his face. Once her worry had simmered down to holding his hand tightly with both of hers, she smiled at him, eyes shining with pride. And when she congratulated him, Itsuku couldn't help but blush. He tried to play it off cool, rubbing his neck to hide his embarrassment, although that didn't last long because... Stop trying to act suave, brat. You're fooling no one, his dad commented, peeking his head into the hallway from the stairs. He had already changed out of his hero costume for a pair of black joggers and white shirt. Itsuku scrunched his nose and pouted as he mumbled, I'm not, even though he definitely was. Come on, I made your favorite, Inko said, ruffling his hair and pressing a kiss on his crown. Itsuku immediately lit up. Katsugan! Yay! But before he could run to the kitchen, Inko stopped him. First, put the trophy and medal somewhere safe, then go take a shower, change your clothes, and then you can come to the table. Itsuku slumped his shoulder, pouting. He looked at his mom with pleading eyes, hoping it would work. But Inko only raised a strict eyebrow in return and said, Those puppy eyes only work on Shota. Don't try it on me, young man. Ichigo immediately dropped the expression, pursing his lips together after being caught. He lingered for a moment longer at the entrance, but when his mother didn't seem to budge even a little, Ichigo sighed and gave in. Alright, good. Now go. Hurry. After taking a bath that turns out he desperately needed after all the sweating throughout the day, and filling his tummy with warm food, Itsuku found the ropes of exhaustion slowly wrapping around his body. By the time he walked upstairs, he was already half asleep on his feet, with his eyes dropping down and yawns coming one after the other. He stopped in the hallway, scratching. Now, Itsuku knew he should just leave. Shota had a night patrol from 8 p.m. to 4 in the morning, since he was taking up someone else's shift as well. But look, it was late in the afternoon, and the warm sunlight was filtering into the room. It just looked so cozy and warm, and Shota blinked awake, turning his head to find Isuku creeping into his room. He raised an eyebrow when he caught the boy's eyes. Isuku stared at him for a second, before breaking into a goofy grin. Hi? What are you up to? Shota asked with a tired sigh. Nothing, he said as he crawled up his bed and bodily pushed his dad away from where he was laying. Shota grunted, shifting further towards the wall to make more room. You have your own room, you know, Shota grumbled as he turned over, uncurling his left arm. I know, Itsuku replied, wiggling around to make himself cozy and using his dad's hand as a pillow. Why, when there was perfectly fine pillows a little above him? Because he could. You're a brat, Shota mumbled, falling back asleep. I know. Isuku said through a yawn. As Isuku felt the warm sunlight fall over his skin and the sense of safety and comfort washed over him, he found himself slipping deep into sleep, all the exhaustion from earlier melting his bones and turning it into goo. Hisashi and Nemuri pretty much bursting into their house around 6 p.m. was honestly expected. Inko had even made preparations to feed around 7 people as well. Where's my favorite little listener? Hisashi beamed as he sauntered into the room, bags held in either hand. Isuku grinned big and wide, pretty much bouncing on his spot on the couch as Hisashi pulled him into a big hug. Congratulations to you, buddy, Hisashi said, squeezing him gently. You were epic out there. Thanks, Isuku giggled. Hey, let me congratulate him too. Move, you dumb blonde, Nemuri chirped, quite literally pushing Hisashi away much to the blonde's complaints and pulling Isuku into a hug. Thanks, Nem. Isuku smiled as he inhaled the sweet but not strong smell of her perfume. Isuku had no idea what kind she used, but he liked it nonetheless. My nephew is awesome, she said, pressing an exaggerated kiss on Asuku's forehead. Who made you my sister? Shota asked with a frown as he walked into the living room. I want a refund. Shut up, Nemuri shot back, to which Shota flipped her the bird as he walked to the fridge to get himself a bottle of chilled water. Oh, hey Inko, Hisashi grinned, holding up a peach-colored bag. I brought some sweets. Ingo smiled at him, taking the bag from his hand as he muttered a sweet thank you. Hisashi gave a mock salute before looking back to the winner of the day. His grin widened as he recalled the stuff he had brought in one of his other 2 bags. I have more, he said, reaching out to pick up the bag he placed near the coffee table. He passed the one in a deep blue color to Isuku. Here, this is for you. A congratulatory gift from yours truly, he said dramatically, dipping his head in a bow. You didn't have? Isuku started polite as ever. Hisashi interrupted, raising a finger. You're right. I didn't have to, but I wanted to anyways. Isuku still looked a little hesitant, eyes glancing towards his dad and mom to see if he should really receive the gift. He didn't think his achievement today was big enough to earn him a gift, but then both of his parents nodded their heads subtly. Isuku thought he should keep it even if he didn't feel like he deserved it. Thank you, Isuku mumbled with a shy smile. Hisashi beamed at him, eyes curving into crescents from happiness. And I, since I'm so Hisashi's eyes glanced towards Inko in the kitchen as he quickly corrected himself, fudging. Shota snorted as Hisashi's poor attempt of saving himself. Awesome. I brought another brilliant thing. Wow, you guys are having a gathering and you didn't even bother calling me? Said another voice. Hawks! Isuku beamed, jumping off the couch to tackle the winged hero in a hug. Oh, come on, baby bird. What did I say about calling me Hawks? Hawks smiled, hugging the kid back and using his wings to enclose them. Right, Kego. Isuku corrected himself, still hanging off the hero's shoulder. That's right. The winged hero grinned, and then looked up. Also, what was the surprise I heard about? Well, you see, Hisashi started, drawing out the words for dramatic effect. During the final match between our little Suku and Bakugo, there was a moment that kinda gave me a deja vu-like feeling. And I was like, wonder what that's about. Why am I little Suku? I'm not that short. Isuku pouted. You thought so too? Nemuri exclaimed with wide eyes. Me too. It was the end, right? There was something awfully familiar about that moment. Like, I've seen that before. Yeah, that part exactly. Hisashi agreed as he pulled out a video disc. So I looked around the previous fight, and I found exactly why it seemed familiar. You have me invested, Hawk said, dropping down Isuku on the couch before taking a spot for himself. I'll let you guys see for yourself, Hisashi said with a grin. Then he got up and plugged the video disc in the video player connected to the TV. The first video that played was from the fight earlier that day. It showed Isuku standing in front of a fallen Bakugo. His eyes glowed toxic green, hair wild like the flames. The top of his gym clothes was all destroyed, revealing angry red burns on his chest and arms. Broken walls and debris surrounded him. His green flame surrounded him like a halo as he stared down at his fallen opponent. Itsuku blushed as Hawks let out an impressed whistle. The screen then split into two halves, and another video started playing in the second half. It was a scene from another sports festival. Right in the center of the field, in the middle of a broken stage, stood a boy over another fallen student. For the first few seconds, Isuku couldn't recognize who it was. He was looking at him before it hit him. His eyes widened as he slipped off the couch to move closer to the TV screen. Isuku understood what Hisashi meant by deja vu. The scene playing in the other half of the screen was a carbon copy of the moment earlier today. Right in the middle of the destroyed stage stood teen Aizawa Shota, victorious over his unconscious opponent. His shirt was torn. Angry red cuts littered all over his torso. There were bruises on his body the size of a tennis ball. He was wounded and battered, but from the fierce look in his glowing red eyes, it was clear that he could still continue fighting if needed, if his opponent decided to stand up once more. Around him were quirk-created soil walls protruding from the ground, shattering him. His hair floated up. A thin, barely visible halo of red covered his body. And there you have it, folks. The winner of this year's sports festival with a perfect, clean sweep for the first time ever in the history of UA. There's been a 3-on-3 victory achieved by a first year. What a brilliant performance from this young man, cheered by the announcer. You have no idea how amazing his win was, Hisashi said with a big smile on his face. Yeah, it was completely unexpected, Nomuri added. I remember everyone was talking about Yamada Hisashi from 1A and this other girl from 1B. What was her name? The one with the tiger quirk? Takamoto, right? Hisashi replied with a confused frown, looking to Shota for confirmation. Takamoto Katsumi, Shota nodded. Tiger transformation quirk. This idiot, Nomuri continued, pointing towards Hisashi, and the girl were the star students. Everyone in the school knew of them. I mean, come on. A 15-year-old kid that single-handedly took down the colossal serial pointer with just his voice, and the girl who shredded through the robots like she was tearing through paper. They tied for the top spot at the entrance exam with a landslide victory. Everyone expected one of these two to win the competition easily. It was just a question of who. And yet, Hisashi picked up the story, a smirk on his face as he leaned back into the couch. When the first round ended, the name that was on the very top wasn't mine or Takamoto's. It was a name no one's heard before. He paused, eyes locking with Isuku as he leaned forward, and Isuku too, engrossed with the story, copied the man and leaned forward as well. And the name continued to stay at the top for the next 3 rounds. It wasn't even funny. Namori said with a snort. The sheer difference in points between Sho and the person in second place. Back when he participated, the million-point rule wasn't used. Our first round was flag hunting on the terrain wired with obstacles and traps. It was hella annoying and difficult. There were around 100 participants and only 40 flags. Hisashi paused shortly once more and shrugged. Only 20 cannons passed on the next round, though. Ichigo frowned and opened his mouth to ask how, but Kego beat him to it. How come? He asked. Ichigo reflexively glanced over his shoulder to give him a stink eye, but took a double take when he saw the hero hugging a couch pillow, legs pulled up and sitting on the edge of the couch. It was cute how engrossed he was with the story as well. Aisawa Shota, 20 points, Hisashi answered. So it wasn't one flag per person? Ichigo frowned. It was, Hisashi replied. Then Ichigo looked at his dad for an answer. Shota, who had been sitting on the very side of the couch, let out a sigh when Ichigo turned to look at him with those pleading eyes. There were 3 rules. Get a flag before the time runs out. Do not run out of the designated areas. And no use of any sort of support items. He shrugged. There wasn't any rule stating a person couldn't pick up more than 1 flag. It was a brutal move, man, Hisashi whined. First, the time limit was just 30 minutes. Second, there were only half the number of flags as there were students. And then, 15 minutes or something into the match, they declared that there's only 20 flags remaining. I remember I was struggling to get out of a fishnet trap, had no flag in hand. Neither did I have any idea where I could find one, and then suddenly the number of flags halved? I almost cried. It's only logical to weed out my competition, no? Plus, it was just a competition for the fame for you guys, Shota said. For me, it was my ticket to the hero course. Plus, there was much more on stake. Fair, Hisashi hummed. Well, anyways, you see, right after someone crossed the end line with a flag, their name would show up on the screen. Now, the place where the first match took place for us was at Ground Omega. For us, there were big holographic projections in the sky that showed the names of those who've already passed and the points they received. Also, depending upon how quickly you finish the match, you get additional 3 points for each minute left. Namori added. At the end of the first round, Aisawa Shota, 65 points. In second place, I don't remember their name, but their score was 16. 16 means 15 points were added, given that they only took 1 flag. Itsuku mumbled. So that's 5 minutes left. Why so long? Because of this cruel, cold-hearted person, Hisashi said dramatically, clutching at his chest while pointing accusedly at Shota. Itsuku once again turned to his dad for more explanation. Right before the match started, we had 10 minutes to warm up, Shota said, clearing his throat a little, and the map of the obstacle course was being shown on the big screen. The map showed all the obstacles in the area, and also had the types of obstacles marked on it. It took a minute to warm up at the end, and spent the rest of my time memorizing the map. It actually took me a little over 10 minutes to get those 20 flags. Shota paused, looking away a little embarrassed. I the flags near the entrance all the way up to the center without triggering the obstacles, and I also shifted around some of the flags to some more difficult regions to make it harder for others to get the flags. Wow, that's heartless, Keiko commented. Tragic, Shota mumbled unapologetically and looked bored. Also, you said your ticket to the hero course? Keiko said. What do you mean by that? I was originally in Gen Ed before I transferred to the hero course, Shota answered. Keiko's eyes widened in disbelief. What, you were in Gen Ed instead of the hero course? Not enough score in the physical half for that, Shota answered with a shrug. And the huge difference between Shota and the one in second place kept increasing. Numeri continued with the story. For the second round, there was a game of tag. Quirks were allowed to be used, but there was a slight twist. Each player had a total of 8 stickers on their back that the others needed to steal them. Each sticker was worth 5 points. You needed a minimum of 40 points to pass to the third round, and if all 8 of your stickers get stolen, you lose. Defending and attacking at the same time, Keiko mumbled with a thoughtful hum. That must have been tough. It was, Hisashi agreed, but apparently general rules don't apply to Shota because he once again won by a landslide with a total of 100 points. He stole 1 from each student. The bastard only lost 20 points himself. Hey, you got 65 points, Shota pointed out. Don't make me throw something at you, Sho, Hisashi replied. The third round was fighting, same as you guys, Hisashi continued. And you know what was the most surprising part? Numeri cut in. 3 rounds, of which 2 rounds required active use of quirks, and yet no one had the slightest clue about his quirk even after the festival was over. What? Itsugu and Kego exclaimed at once, whipping their heads around to the underground pro hero. How is that even possible? Itsugu spluttered, mind racing to figure out how one could keep their quirk hidden during the fighting round at the very least. It wasn't really that hard, Shota admitted, earning a pillow being smacked into his face by Hisashi. Show off, he complained. Shut up, Shota snapped back. Then, returning his attention back to Itsugu and Kego, he continued. They are hero students, proud and confident of their quirks. They prided themselves in their strong quirks. After all, what do you think happens when their quirk suddenly goes missing? Even if for a second. They fumble, Kego answered. I mean, I'm used to using my quirk all the time, used to the feeling of it inside of me. So if it's suddenly gone, I'm going to fumble. I do fumble whenever you use erasure on me. Exactly. I took a gamble when I decided to exploit that factor. I used my quirk swiftly and infrequently, enough that no one connected anything. All they knew was, for a few moments during the competition, they lost control of their quirk. Suddenly, it was gone while they were using it. They freaked out predictably, and I used that moment of vulnerability I created, Shota explained. The idea and implementation of it was simple enough, but there were high risks. If I got caught, I would have lost. Probably. Hisashi mocked, rolling his eyes. Even without freaking us out by suddenly erasing our quirks, this guy was hella strong. I know. I got punched in the face by him. An immediate KO. He grinned proudly. Hands down one of the best moments of my life. You're weird, Shota mumbled, while Suku snickered at the declaration. He used the fact all the students in the Hero Code course were heavily dependent on their quirk when it came to fighting, Numeri said, stretching her legs a little. Nifty if you ask me. The only person that actually made me think I would lose was Takamato. And, Shota said, sports festival so far, along with a little information on them, categorized by year. However, there's no information on the winner from my year, Shota said. It's because Nezu had all my information on me buried and classified. Isuku frowned a little, but even then, videos from the UA Sports Festival are available on their official site, so someone would have managed to analyze your quirk. Or what about the pro heroes present during the competition? Did they not realize what your quirk was? Shota shook his head with a little smile. I have a question. To all, how many people have you met that have an eraser quirk like mine? Or a quirk that can suppress others' quirks, or erase it altogether? Well, I can think of one other person, but I don't think they count in this context, Yorichi mumbled in Asuku's mind. Who? Isugu wondered. A ghost from the past, whom you hopefully won't ever have to come across. Yurichi answered. No one, right? Shota continued. People never even considered that I could have an evasive quirk. Then he paused and pursed his lips before looking away, with a meaningful expression on his face, and all videos from the sports festival were taken down after the sports festival was over, Shota finished. Plus, there's a new winner every year. The hype about me died down pretty quickly when they couldn't find much on me. It was still a risk for you, Kego commented. It was, yes, but I didn't have any choice, Shota shrugged. Ichigo had a few more questions he was curious about, but before he could ask, his mom popped her head in the room from the kitchen and announced, Everyone, dinner is ready, come to the table. Yay! Hisashi cheered, standing up. Homemade food! Perfect timing, Inko, Namori purred. What did you make? Smells amazing. I smell meat. Kego sniffed the air. Is it chicken, beef, pork? It's steak, sweetie, Inko said with a smile. Yes! Kego cheered, running to the kitchen. Who did you do your internship with? Ichigo asked as he stood up, slowly following after the others to the kitchen. For my first year, I was with Nezu, Shota informed him. Huh, wait, you can intern under him? Ichigo asked. Yes, but he rarely picks interns, Shota replied. Depends on his mood, really. He does it for entertainment, so. Speaking of internships, you'll be getting your offers soon, so be careful of who you pick. Do you understand? Yes, but I don't want to see any hero worship nonsense while you're interning. Pick who you're going to work with based on how they can help you improve. Don't pick someone just because you like them as a hero, Shota chided. Yes, Ichigo nodded dutifully. Oi, you two, to the table, now! Inko scolded when both Ichigo and Shota ended up standing in the living room talking. Coming! Shota replied. Then he looked at his kid and said in a stern voice, Whoever you pick, make sure to learn as much as you can from them, okay? Can you? No. Fine, Isugu. Yes, I'll be careful. Now can we go eat? I'm hungry. Shota gave Isugu one last glare before nodding and herding Asuku over to the dining area. He really hoped that Asuku's time with whoever he picked wouldn't end in a tragedy like his. Alrighty, that is the end of this chapter. I hope you enjoyed. Bye bye!